It'll be nice to just introduce yourself in the chat, and you can write down your name, which school you belong to, and probably also which part of the country. Yeah. Hi, Shanti. Hello, Murtaza.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, Bindya. Bindya, from which CMS are you?
I'm from Rajajipuram branch.
Okay, nice.
Hi, Joseph.
Hello, Mr. Manoj.
Hi, madam. How are you?
Good, good.
Yeah. Jayasree, madam. How are you?
Oh, very good. Oh, now I get you.
Yeah. Okay. How are you? Fine.
By your voice, I recognize you in your voice. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, hello everyone.
Hello, Mr. Manoj.
Hello.
Hi, Salita.
We are in time, madam. I think we're waiting for the others to join in.
Yes, it's 4:30 and now we will begin. Was just about to say that. So good afternoon to Adyan's community of practice. And I just wanted to kind of, share, get to probably share with you. I'm not sure how many of us have been able to, be there and know what Adyan's community of practice is all about. So, Jashri, you can go to present here. Yeah. So basically, a little about Adyan is that Adyan's been in this space since 2012, working with schools and school leaders, looking at how every child can have access to quality education. When COVID struck in March, with the help of a lot of our partner schools, we have 400 partner schools, which we had before COVID. And in fact, during COVID, and 100 more schools have been added on as our partner schools, because some of our fast moving partner schools actually collaborated, and we started the Edu series that a lot of you know about or have attended. And the Edu series webinars are webinars for leaders, for teachers, and for parents. So we have three verticals for leaders, teachers, and for parents. And for leaders, it was basically to look at how ready are we to transition into the online teaching and learning. And of course, we're all, we know that we're all pushed into it. So there's no question of being ready. But the idea was to say that how can we, now that we've embarked on, online teaching and learning, how do we sustain that, and how do we keep that motivated? How do we keep everybody motivated? So this is for the leaders, we have a 4-part webinar series, which we have one every month. And that has a framework, the Adyan framework, which leaders have accessed to make sure that, they are able to ensure that the school is very holistically moving into this online teaching and learning and are able to sustain. So it's a good check because you're also able to collaborate with other leaders across the city, across your country, and even across the globe, because we do have people participating even beyond India. So that's the bit about leaders. With the teachers, currently our work revolves around, enabling and empowering the teachers to use tech, but tech in a way where we are not introducing them just to tools, but how do you use your tools? We know that less is more. So how do you use tools which help you to have collaboration in your classes, in your online classes, a balance of asynchronous, synchronous, lessons, as well as how will it help to have engaging classrooms, because we know that the newness of online teaching and learning is wearing off, right? The newness is wearing off, and so how do we now make sure that our students are learning? So our Tech for Teachers courses, which are again run like a proper synchronous, asynchronous design course, is again for class 1 to class 10, teachers, class 12. And we have a special one for early years, which is, your preschool. So, and the other bit that's the most exciting one also is for the parents, where we have a hub which is called the Collaborative Learning Studio, where we have started programs for parents. For cyber safety, for setting parental controls on their devices, as well as, for children, parents with children from 10 months to 3 years, we have a course for them which enables and empowers them to run, to be able to raise their own children. So just a brief about Adhyan, so that, you all know how, what we are doing in this space. And the community of practice has stemmed from our leaders' sessions. So basically, the sessions with the leaders the conclusion was that as leaders, we need to continue to collaborate and continue to meet. And that's the reason the community of practice has become one, cohesive cohort that continues to meet twice a month. Okay. And they meet twice a month to deliberate on issues. Sometimes we have speakers who have come in, and we've invited speakers who have added on to what, our pain points have been, what we've been saying, that we want to know more about differentiation, more about assessments. So that's something that has happened. We've had sessions where our own, colleagues have picked up on topics and discussed and decided, because there's a lot to learn from one another. So while we have a mixture of, having experts and people who have practiced come in. And then we also have sessions like these, like today that we have, is to assimilate all our learning, and see how we are practicing some of the things that we have picked up in these sessions, and share what is coming in our way, what is helping us to learn. So at this juncture, I'm just going to kind of, launch a quick poll to understand, where we are in terms of all of us. Which of the webinars have you attended recently? Was anybody of you, in differentiation by Carol Tomlinson, assessments by Myron Dweck, or both of the above? If you can kind of share that. I hope you can see the poll. So it would be interesting to just know if any one of you have been able to attend that. Can somebody give me, okay, yes, we can see that. Fantastic. So there are two questions, and one is which webinars have you attended recently? And the second one is, have you been able to practice or try out, anything that you have attended? And if you haven't attended any one, please put it in the chat to say that, as Bindya has said, that this is my first webinar in the community of practice with Adhyan. So thank you, Bindya, for putting it there. So if it's your first webinar with Adhyan, kindly put it on the chat. or if you haven't attended any of the ones that is, mentioned here, you can put it here too on the chat. Yeah, so I'm sure that we have, okay, so we're getting some responses on the chat. We've got 5 responses to say that we haven't attended any of the ones that have been mentioned. Okay. And we have 3 responses so far on the poll. So can we have more? It'll be very useful for us to understand, in which, where do we lie? Have we attended these sessions or have we not? So that we can have our breakout rooms accordingly. And what I gather from what is there is that, yes, okay, we're getting more responses. Fine. Great. So I'm just going to end the poll, which says that we've had 4 people who've attended assessments. 1 person has attended both. Some of you have been able to practice differentiation practices too, and 3 have said assessment ideas by Myron. While we have a lot of us here who are first timers into the session, so we were, the design of this session was to actually look at if we have attended any of the sessions, to look at what is differentiation, how are we, looking at it, what have we tried in our sessions, in our, classes, what's working, what's not working. So it's nice to know that we have some of us who've been able to attend. So I'm going to now introduce Jayashree to you, who is the anchor for today's session. And welcome Jayashree to take the session ahead. Jayashree is a lead assessor with Adhyan, and she is also a lead facilitator. She leads the leaders webinars, as well as she is in the education space since a long time and has worked in the CBSE school space too. So over to you, Jayashree. If you can just give us a little brief about what we're going to do today, and how do we want to, kind of divide the groups. We could look at that, Jayashree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Neha. Thank you. So as Neha said, so this is a space to collaborate. And as she also said that today's plan was to kind of go through what we learned from the 2 webinars, one on differentiation by Carol Tomlinson and the other on assessments by Myron Dweck. So just a minute, I don't know why my...
Is it stuck or something? Do you want me to share? Okay, we saw it, we've got it, right, yeah.
So, so what we thought was, if we could have you choose one of these 2, we are going to have 2 breakout rooms, one for, discussing and understanding and sharing your, successes and challenges that you have in terms of differentiation, and the other breakout room, the same thing, doing the same thing for assessments. So if you could kind of decide which of the 2 breakout rooms you would want to join, that would be good. And Neha, would we want them to put it on their names? Yeah. Prefix, Neha, you are on mute.
Yes. So what we'll do is, depending on what is your, I would say, interest, it would be great to just put in, change your name. I'm just putting it on the chat. You can put diff as in diff and
DIFF.
Yeah, I'll just put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in order to choose the room that you'd like to go in and have a conversation about what is differentiation, how do we look at it, what you've been trying out. You could actually put a prefix to your name as diff and your name as differentiation, or ASST if you want to be in the room with assessments. So if that can happen, it'll be really nice. Please change your name. So you know where you have your DP picture, you have 3 dots. And if you click on those dots, you will be able to rename yourself. So can we quickly have that happen against your own name? Just before your name, you can add that. So you can go to where your name appears on the screen. If you take your cursor there, there are 3 dots, and click on that dot. Yes, some of us have got it. You can rename yourself. So let's take a minute to just do that. Great. So we've got people doing it. Can you take 30 seconds more? Can we have all of us doing that? If you are unable to do it, please let us know. We'll rename it. You don't worry. Salita, I can do that for you.
Yeah, you could let us know in the chat. Yes, Meenakshi has raised her hand. Yes, Meenakshi.
Great.
Could you let us know in the chat? Or you could unmute and speak, Meenakshi.
So we have 2 people who've come in without the audio, so you won't be really able to hear us. I'm sure.
Okay.
Not sure how you'll be able to hear us.
Meenakshi,
That's
you
fine.
could write on the chat.
I think she's just trying out. Yeah. Great. So, Jayashree, should we just get into breakout rooms? Yes?
Yeah, so we could go into breakout rooms, but I was just wondering if we would want to go through what in differentiation and
yes.
what.
Yes. So can you take them through that? Meanwhile, I will get the breakout room sorted. Yes?
That's right. Yes.
Thank you.
So just to kind of recall what we heard from Carol. So it was about differentiation, and Carol spoke about what are some of the practices that have worked, that have been tried and tested in terms of having a differentiated classroom so that every child can be reached out to. And just a minute, my PPT is taking a little while to kind of go to the next slide.
Jayashree, would you like me to share this?
Yeah, I think I was just going to say, I think you should share.
Yeah, if you can stop sharing, I can just share.
Yeah, thank you. So basically what Carol said was it's about having a flexible class, and as well as having some stability in that, in the flexibility. So as in, so the teacher decides initially itself what kind of group she needs to do. And so in that sense, it is flexible. And because not all students are doing the same thing at the same time. And in that sense, it is flexible because every student could be doing something, or also you could have different groups doing different tasks. And also trying to use different instructional strategies like think, pair, share, or think, pair, share squared. Also many times giving a choice of assignment in assignments as well as homework works in differentiation very well. So the teacher is kind of says, so your test is coming up, and so I'm going to give you for today's homework these are the 3 different assignments that are going to be there for homework. So you see what is it that you need to do to improve your work, so that students have a choice. And she very clearly says that when she gave this kind of choice to students, their homework was of much great quality because they chose what they wanted to do, and then they have really taken ownership of that. And also very effective discussions. And for this, she mentioned, having small groups and giving different topics for discussions to different groups, and based on their needs. So in that case, when they sit in groups and discuss, then they learn from one another, and the discussion is much more effective rather than having a whole class discussion and having all children thrust into that same discussion. And she talked about learning contracts, where the teacher can have contracts with the students to say this is what you need to learn, and kind of set short-term goals or even long-term goals, and then help them and support them in achieving those, and having those as contracts between the teacher and student. And of course, interest-based assignments and independent investigations. So at certain appropriate times of the unit, you could kind of try and give them assignments based on their interest. Give it to them and say, whatever is your interest, you do that. And also maybe give them opportunities for independent investigations. And again, small group instruction is nothing but when the teacher has identified a small group of kids who need support, and then she sits with them when the rest of the class is doing some other work that she's assigned. And collaborative teams, again, putting them in teams where they learn from one another. So these are some of the strategies which she says are extremely helpful for having the differentiated instruction in the class, and so that we can have all students grow together. So everybody is learning together and nobody is really left behind in a whole class scenario. Neha? So, and tips for differentiating online. So again, similarly, you can have some whole class segments, and then you can also have some small group, and you can have some individual segments as well. And so it's again, but before you go on to do this, actually really very clearly, set schedules for them, and just say, this is what we do in a whole class segment, and this is what we would be doing when we would be small groups. And so very clearly give them the protocols and instructions for each of these segments. So we will be sharing this with you in your breakout room. So maybe you could go through this a little more in detail when you are in your breakout room for differentiation. So next one, Neha. Yeah, so this is about individual segments, right? Same thing. Next. So this is an example of an assignment which has been differentiated, and this is also, you can go through it with a little more detailed eye when you are in your breakout room, to understand how this assignment can be given for different groups of children according to their needs. Yeah. Next. So these are some questions and prompts that we have got for you, which you could discuss when you are in your breakout room. So for those of you who have already started trying differentiation, we saw in the poll that some of you have started trying. So you could share your experience, you could share your joy, you could share your success. Also, you could share your challenges when it comes to it. And then it's about putting your heads together and figuring out what we could do for having effective differentiation inside our classrooms. So these are some prompts which you can.
I'll just request you to for the ones who have said you want to discuss differentiation, is to take a picture of this so that it's there with you in terms of the questions. Yeah, if you can do that, it'll be great to just keep that in front of you. Yeah. Should we? Yeah, tell me. Yeah. Should we go to the next one?
Go ahead. Yeah, we can go ahead. So that's about what we heard from Carol about differentiation. And so now the other webinar that we wanted to kind of assimilate today was Myron's webinar on assessment. And what Myron spoke about was really having effective assessments in today's age, where education is really, really changing so fast. And are we still stuck to the same old assessment methods, or how are we really adapting to as our assessment methods to cater to the current needs? Yeah, Neha, could you move on? So he spoke at length about if education is changing. So it does involve student empowerment, which means we have to have students active in their learning as well as in their assessments. So how do we do that? So it's about having the formative assessments really strong. Neha, please move. So we all know formative and summative. Next, Neha. So as we know, formative is during the learning, during teaching and learning, the assessments that are conducted so that we know how to enhance learning, promote learning, and it's not, the purpose is not to judge. Whereas summative is at the end of the unit or the topic where we really see how much has been learned by the students. So it is in a way assessment of learning, and formative is assessment for learning. We know that well. But the question is, how do we, Neha, the next one. The question, so we know about formative, that it informs the teacher, and also it informs students. Neha, the next one. As to where am I ready for the summative assessment? Where do I need extra help? So this is about having the student active during the learning and also for assessments. But the question is, if the purpose is so different for both, Neha, next one. If summative and formative have their own purpose very clear, so, you know, most of us think that we have to keep it apart. However, it's not realistic to keep it apart. The whole challenge for us as teachers now is to see how we can have a positive relationship between the two. So these are some of the screenshots on assessments that have taken from the handouts that Myron gave us. So the whole idea is to kind of adapt our assessment method in such a way that we just don't do a test at the end of the unit, but how is it that we have it ongoing and also have students participating and being active in their learning as well as assessment, so that they feel empowered and they take ownership of their learning. So that is the whole idea of assessments, and that has really become the need for today, because we're talking of 21st century skills and talking of, you know, students who we want to be thinkers. We need to give them this opportunity during you know, our teaching and learning. So that is what Myron really spoke at length about. So that is about assessments. So for the breakout room, for those of you who are in the breakout room, we're going to talk about assessments. The prompts are the next. Yeah, this also, the prompts are about how do we transform assessments for suiting today's age, where we are doing virtual learning and where we are talking about 21st century skills. And also another prompt about how as leaders have you been able to support your teachers in bringing about this shift in assessment methods. So again, if you could just take a pic of this, which will help you in your breakout room for your discussions. So we also saw that some of you have started assessment method, new assessment methods. In the poll, we could see that. So if you could share, what is it that has worked for you, and what are some of your challenges, and how are you really helping your teachers go about this? So if you could share, and the others also, you could talk about your concerns, you could talk about, you know, what are your challenges in bringing about this change. And so, you know, if you could brainstorm and come together and put our heads together and get solutions for what we could try out when we go away from this webinar. So that's going to be the next step, next half an hour.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Jayashree. So what we're going to do is get into two groups as per what we have, you know, wished to divide ourselves into. And it's really nice that we have quite a few in both the groups. And some of you haven't been able to change your names. Don't worry, I'll help you with that. So we get into two groups, and our first task will be to actually share the practices that we are following. So we do have people who have attended the sessions, who are already onto the path of differentiation, have started some practices. So let's just quickly share those and also share our questions, right? What are the questions that we have? Because I think as leaders and as teaching leaders, we definitely want to keep asking questions, because only when we ask questions and ask them of our own selves, and with support of from all our other co-leaders, is when we are going to be starting our journey of inquiry. So let's do this. I hope we are all game to do that. A show of thumbs if everyone's fine with the design of the session. Any questions so far? We will have about, Jayashree, how much time?
You can have about 25 minutes.
Okay. So Jayashree is pretty generous. I would say 20 minutes, because we want to come back and share too. So yes, thank you. With some show of thumbs, any questions about this? Yeah. So as we said, that the community of practice is for us as leaders to come together and collaborate. Please do share your practices as well as your questions. Okay, so when we come back, and please ensure that in your group you have somebody who's also kind of noting and taking note of what's happening, so that, and you're scribing it, so that when you come back you will be able to share the questions. Okay, so give me a minute to organize the breakout rooms. Yeah. And as you get the invite, please do move towards the breakout room. Yeah. Accept the invitation and move into that. Okay, so we do have a lot of us who haven't added where we want to go in terms of which breakout room. So how do we resolve this? I could see a lot of us already do have. Do we have a choice? Some of us who haven't added ASST or DIFF before our name, can we quickly do that, please? If you want to go in for a discussion on differentiation, can you please put DIFF before your name? And if you want to go in for assessment, ASST. You can change your name by going to, the DP picture. There are 3 dots which appear on the screen, where your name is. There are 3 dots. And if you can click on that and rename yourself. I'm sure by now we are all being able to do that pretty well. Yes, I can see some more having added on to it. That's brilliant. And if you have any difficulty, just type your name in the chat and we'll do it for you. Just say that this is what I'd like to do. Yes, great.
Maybe the ones who have already decided can move to.
Yes, I'm just going to do that so that the ones who've decided can get into the rooms and start the discussion. Give me a minute and I'm opening the rooms. Yeah, so Kavita, you'll be there in the differentiation
yeah, I will.
group.
Yeah.
And Jayashree?
Yeah.
You'll be there with the assessments group. Yeah, Annette and Jayashree. Great, so I've opened the rooms. Yeah.
I haven't got the invite yet.
Yeah. Yeah, now you would have got it. Great. Murtaza, you wanted to go into the assessment group. You are actually there. You will get an invite. Yes, you've got it. Great. So now that we are all here in this group, can we have a little bit of sharing? Can we unmute ourselves and talk about what is it that you want to find out more about? Differentiation, assessments. Would you like to share something?
Hi, this is Seema Sheikh. I come from a state board school, and I would like to understand more about assessments, how schools are taking assessments ahead.
So can I send you to that room? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Or maybe if all of us here want to talk about assessments, then we could talk about assessments here. Is everybody okay talking about assessments? I need a thumbs up.
Even if you have something else in mind, I'm okay with it. If you have something else in mind, if everyone has something else in mind, it's fine.
Yeah. So can we have a show of hands, please? Show of thumbs, rather. Is everyone okay to talk about assessments here right now? Yes? Okay. So thank you, Joseph, and thank you, Jayalakshmi. So let us talk about, and I think, see, this is going to be something that we all need to talk about. I'm not like the person or the expert who's going to be only sharing, that what needs to be done. So can we have some sharing from everybody saying, what is it that you'd like? What's happening with assessments? Where are we with assessments? What's working? What's not working? Come on, let's begin with that. Who'd like to go first? Can you unmute yourself and talk? Yeah, this is going to be a very participative session. So Seema, would you like to go ahead? Since you raised the bit on assessments that I'd like to discuss that further, you want to tell us a little more? Yeah,
because as I say, I work with the state board school, and our major challenge is children not having devices, and even if they have devices, they are not so technically well versed with everything. So we find it a bit difficult, and then most of the time what happens is, yes, we do take help of Kahoot and other things, and we go for what you call as objective or formative assessments. But when it comes to subjective assessments, it becomes a tad difficult. Of course, we trust our children fully, and we do send them papers, and we tell them to complete and send it back to us. And I'm very happy that this pandemic has given us a chance to have full trust in our children. So our children are writing the papers, and looking at the papers, we realize that, yes, they have not copied or they have not taken help from anyone. As it is, because they are first generation learners, very little help from the parents. But yes, reading the papers, especially if they are lower classes and if they have any queries, that is getting a tad difficult, though we do read out the paper online, explain them and ask them to do it at their convenience, and then ask them to upload the paper or scan it and send it across. So that is what we are doing. But if there are other ways where I can help when children are really short of devices,
right,
or other
so
things,
is your question mainly that how do we do subjective questions?
Yes,
right?
yes.
So subjective answers. And so we are absolutely, I mean, while you're appreciating that the pandemic has taught us many lessons, and we're able to trust our children, you're also saying that I still want to continue what we were doing before, right? As a bit of objectives and subjective answers is what we are looking for. Questions and answers, the assessments. Right, Seema? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. Okay. So the floor is open for somebody else who'd like to share about what are you doing with assessments, or what are your questions? Just shoot, let's openly share. Joseph, would you like to step in?
Yeah, madam, it's okay. I would like to share that, see the assessment part, when it is coming to the assessment part, we feel that there is a pros and cons are there. both sides.
Right.
Yeah. Most of us are very new to this set of online teaching. Even though we are aware about that online teaching is there, but suddenly when you are coming to this area, the first thing we felt is how to assess that. What are the areas we need to concentrate? And initially it is a little it is difficult to identify.
Right.
And second thing is that one, how much the feedback can be correct, how much up to what level we can get, or what type of assessment we can take out. These all areas we need to work out. And even though we are not able to get a complete picture of that one, how we are getting this is in our live classrooms.
Right.
Comparing to the schooling, we may not be get that much feedback, but even though we are able to work out on these areas.
Right. So I think
Okay.
what you are actually talking about right now is very relevant. You are saying that we are not aware of what we need to assess, right?
Yes.
It's a very
Yes.
difficult question, okay, what you're asking, sir. And but it's very, I would say, brutally honest.
Yes, definitely.
Because we have to now right now talk about what are we really assessing, and it's really difficult to identify that because we haven't done that, right?
Yes.
And this is teaching us to actually go into areas where we've never gone before, is to find that out, and how much feedback can be correct, you know, and up to what level what we receive from the children. So I completely agree. Thank you, Joseph, for sharing.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So somebody who'd like to go next? Any practice that you're doing in assessments which is working out for you, is making sense? Would you like to share? Yes, we
Hello?
have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, I am working as a primary maths teacher.
Sure,
Okay.
Lalita. Yeah.
So our children, they are doing the objectives in the Google form. But when they are doing the subjective in the Google Doc, suppose if the topics are fractions or something, they find it difficult to do the sums in the Google Doc.
Okay. So what is, so that's a very logistic question, right? In terms of how I want to do that. Is there, what have you thought about, or what is the conversation about this going on in your own school, Lalita?
We are just creating for the students, we are creating a table, and either we are giving the numerator or the denominator in that case, so that the student can write only the either one of this.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Can I say something?
Yes, please, Seema.
Yes, I also feel that in this present situation of the pandemic, I look at assessments in a different way. You know, that one thing is just the assessment for the sake of seeing that the children are on track. They come online when you tell them that there are going to be assessments, you know, they get a bit serious. But seriously, for me, I say that when we are doing assessments, I look at it, okay, so are we really able to teach something to the children online, you know? So it is actually our own evaluation, whether we are on the right track. And if we are not on the right track, then we seriously need to think about how we can take learning ahead in this situation. That is how
I quite agree with you, Seema. But if you were to correlate that with Joseph's question as to what should we assess?
That's why. So that's why I feel that we need to look at not only the cognitive learning that we are forwarding, but also to the attitudinal areas and the skills that we are developing in this course as we are taking the children ahead, the learning ahead rather. So are we really also developing the attitudes as which the NEP is really looking at, you know, that we want the children to be really having the right kind of attitude and the 21st century skills. So are
Absolutely.
we just through this online teaching giving only something that is catering to the knowledge base of the children, which they otherwise can get from so many other platforms which are available today and ready material available? So our role, I think, is more of developing the different skills and the attitude, and those need to be assessed, you know, and that's where my question lies as to how we take it.
Absolutely agree. And would anybody else like to contribute here? You know, this is what exactly I know what you feel, right? when your video is on and everybody's videos are off and you don't know what's happening on the other end. So I would really request you to unmute and talk. Thanks, Nina. At least I have one face on my screen. So there's a human. I know Seema is alive and talking. So is Joseph. Thank you, Jayalakshmi, for putting on your video. And let's share a little bit about what Seema and Joseph have said. Is there something that's so I would invite anybody to even share a good practice that you have thought is working in your school. So, you know, yes, Nina, please go ahead.
Am I audible? Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. No, well, it's been as challenging as I think it has been to everybody else to assess. But I have trying to experiment. I basically teach history. I'm the department for history at Mayo School. So I thought it would be nice to also intervene kind of oral or an interview, you know, where you don't really have to ask the students to, you know, write down answers and send them back. So some component of assessment could be orally testing their skills. And, you know, so kind of setting up an interview kind of a thing or a Viva voice with the senior classes. So that's something experimented with. And of course, it is challenging. What I find very challenging is because objective answer.
Sorry, have I lost you?
You know, if how do you manage?
Couldn't.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think there was a little lag there. Yeah.
Can you hear?
Yeah, yeah, I think putting the video off is
Can
going
you
to
hear
help.
me now? I think I'll have to just turn off my
Yeah,
video.
I agree. I agree. Please go ahead.
Sorry about
So
that.
you said it's been challenging. Yeah.
So, challenging to for a teacher to assess subjective questions is very challenging. Of course, Google Form has made it very easy as far as objective part goes. But what about descriptive skills of, you know, expressive skills of the students when you have to check that comprehensive comprehension, you know, historical comprehension and essay writing, you know, those kind of questions that you have. So that becomes a challenge for, I think, teachers in the department when it comes to assessing them.
Right.
So I don't know if there's questions crack that, I'll be really glad to hear from you all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lalita, for adding this. I would also encourage the others to use the chat. If you do not want to kind of unmute and talk, is please use the chat. Put down your questions on assessments and any, you know, anything that you'd like to share, just like how Nina shared and how Seema shared. You know, Nina shared that I've tried out this and the Viva voice. I think that's a great idea, right? And you're building so many other skills besides, you know, also kind of getting to know what the child has understood, but it's also building communication skills and which is again your 21st century skill, which is what Seema was talking about. So I'll really encourage everybody to use the chat also and put down your questions. See, this is an inquiry-based session right now, and we will continue having this, you know, we have this every twice a month. So let's continue. So your questions today can become something that we will, you know, then discuss in the next session. So let's do that. Okay. So
I have a question.
yes.
Do we think, I mean, I'm just wondering with this COVID now and all the halla gulla that we had about the board exams and everything, do we as an educational setup in the country really need to look at our education, our examination pattern? You know, we have these terms in the second term and the final exam. Do we need to have the similar kind of a pattern, or I think we'll have to review? What I am coming to understand is we'll need to review that and maybe have smaller, you know, maybe tests. So I don't know what, but I think that really need to be looked at more critically.
I agree. And I think these are questions that we need to really ask of ourselves, and actually, look at that. Do we really need to continue the same pattern? So how many of us are able to continue the same pattern that we were doing in the physical space?
Not really, not the same pattern, but to some extent, yes. And as I said, that because our children don't have devices, what we are trying to do is we are trying to keep the worksheets in the school. And now that there is this unlock going on, so parents do come and collect the papers. Also, we have kept in the school in envelopes, and then parents are taking home and they are doing it. But yes, as Meena was speaking, and she rightly said that we need to again relook at our assessment patterns. So we already had started with it, and we are taking it ahead, where we are looking at research as a form of assessment. And I think if children start getting into research, these assessments will be, I think there will be more concrete assessments, and children and learning will happen. So rather than assessment, I feel that learning outcomes can then really be gauged. So we are looking at research as a tool for assessment. That is what we are doing.
Thank you, Seema, for sharing this, because that's fantastic. Does anybody have a question about what does it mean, research as a tool for assessments? Yeah. So I'm sure this is what you feel in a class, right? If your students are not going to question, and I'm trying to I'm not a teacher, okay? I'm one of you as a facilitator trying to get a conversation going in the group. And as you know, that the community of practice is not something where you're going to only be listening. So yeah. Yes, Meenakshi, would you like to add something?
Yes, we are also assessing the children by the Google Form test, but sometimes network problems and many students don't have any devices. So many problems are there. I am also teaching primary classes, but we're sending Google Form tests and give them practice and all things. And difficult for languages actually. So teaching Hindi is a very difficult. How to tell them what is the difference between matras and all. They collect the answers and then said how this is wrong. Difference of matras and all. We are doing all Google Form tests.
Okay.
I'm happy with this session. Getting so many things new for me. Actually, I think it's my first session.
Yeah.
Regarding assessments. So I attend so many, but assessments regarding this is my first.
Right. So I think I just want to take you through the assessments bit that, we were talking about. And what I'd like to do is I will share the link with all of you where you can actually access this webinar, which we've had earlier. Because the entire bit was that why is education changing around the world, which is what we are talking about, right? Formative, summative, what is formative, what is summative? And I think the most important question was that why assessments, right? If we know why we want to get into assessments, what's the target for assessments, then you go ahead and talk about it. Because if we don't know what is our yearly targets, right, of what are we assessing, as Joseph said, then what do we do? If we say that, okay, these assessments are to inform the teacher, then that's a very different story that we are talking about. And so these are the questions that, in terms of looking at, is it realistic? Is it unrealistic? To look at formative, summatives separately, how do we look at that? And plus that we are all very different, right? So what I'm going to do is that this has been good, I would say, preliminary sharing. However, it would be very important if all of you can actually, go through that webinar also. Because the webinar really talks about actually steps in assessments, okay? Which says that you need to look at from purpose to practice, right? So what's the purpose of assessments? This is what we are raising here as questions. And that's a very collective, decision that has to be made, whether at the school level or the state level or the country level, which is what we are saying, that does our entire education system really need to change? And I think that's the questions that we need to answer ourselves. So I'm going to just give me a minute to close the room so that the other rooms can come back here into the main room. We're going to have everybody come in here and we'll have a quick sharing by them, as well as I will share what we discussed in this group so that we can, have something that we are able to hear what others are doing too from the other groups. And and I would actually, in the email that you will get post this session, I will just try if I can right now put the link on the chat for the webinar, because what we'd like is all of us to first have a conversation here about what you have understood from assessments, which is what we are missing out on, right? So I think most of us are back. Let's have a look if everyone's back, because the rooms have been closed. Yeah, they're getting back. I'm sorry if you were in the middle of a conversation and you were just pushed out of your room. I hope, please don't consider that rude, because there's no other way in which we can bring you back into the room.
Ma'am, please, I would like to join. I would like to be a part of it.
What were you talking about, Bharti?
I just want to be a part of it. Please join me.
Where?
To that meeting.
No, you are now in the main group. Were you in some breakout room earlier?
Yes. Somebody has come home.
Okay, now everybody's in the same place, in the same room. So you are joined with all of us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I think all of us are back here. And Jayashree, do we have a quick sharing?
Yes, we could. Vindhya, she was supposed to.
Ma'am, I've noted down few things only. So like,
no
I'll just share. Like some of us just discussed about various assessment methods that they're using it. Like Google Form is one of the platform they are using it. And then some teachers talked about the weekly test that is being taken up by them on Microsoft Teams, and that is for assessing the middle school and the primary students. And one of the teacher even mentioned about that they have to prepare PPTs and on various topics that are given to them, and that is being shared with the other teachers. And then they're given the questions. I think that is what I have understood from what ma'am said, that once the teacher has discussed her PPT, then the questions are given to the teachers, just like we give it to the students. And even I shared some of my issues that I am having, and the platform that I'm using, like exam.net, I shared that it is a very good platform for students to assess, where it's online, the students are writing the test. The only issue was that since we are using, the students mostly they are using mobile, and that is not mobile friendly. Otherwise, it is a very good platform for assessing the students online. Otherwise, what is happening is Google Form or any other assessment method that we are using for seniors, especially if we are using it, then the honesty of the student is like, I don't take up that they're writing it and then they're submitting it. So they are going to look into the books and then write it down. So this is one of the issue that I'm facing. So that is all, ma'am, from my end.
So while we are on assessments, thank you very much for sharing, Bindya. So the main room where I was, also we picked up on assessments, and I just like to do a quick sharing of where the sharing was such that one of the schools, which is a state board school, again spoke about not having devices, so finding it difficult. Kahoot and Google Forms has been used for objective assessments. We do trust our children, and the pandemic has trained us and taught us to trust our children, but somehow, of course, subjective papers and subjective answers continue to remain a challenge. I hope I've kind of covered the bit of what everyone has tried. Even Google Doc has been tried for subjective answers for math, but it's been very difficult to get children to get onto that, and so everybody's trying to find some way or the other in which we can get the answers for the children. Some very important questions that were raised were about actually we are not aware what we're going to assess, like what are the areas that we need to assess, what do we need to really get feedback on, and I think one of the important things was said was that, when we say it's assessment time, it's where the children get serious, okay? Because we are going to have assessments. But what are we assessing is again a question. And the suggestion was that it cannot be only cognitive, because we have to look at attitudes, and the NEP talks about that. So we should not be only focusing on cognitive, but focusing on 21st century skills. And one of the teachers shared about how she has been using oral assessments, Viva Voice, and basically setting up interviews and, trying to teach history in that manner. I mean, trying to do assessments in history in that manner. And also in terms of, I think a big question that was raised in this group was, do we need to look at our examination pattern overall, or do we have to continue with the same, semester 1, semester 2, or unit test 1, unit test 2? And the icing on the cake was one sharing which said that research, we are exploring research as a tool for assessments. And if we can use that, which will help us how our children are learning and how much they have learned. So I hope I've done justice to what we have shared. Nina, if you need to share something, if I've missed out, please do add on that. Yeah. Thank you. Should we have the sharing from differentiation group? Yeah, you're on mute.
Yeah, sorry. So while we were actually meant to talk about differentiation, I found that most of the people in the room were really keen on looking at descriptive answers and how do we begin to get a response. I mean, how do we assess those? And I think that was a big requirement across the room. So we stuck with that.
Frankly, that's across the 3 rooms then.
Yeah.
So I think that to me, that tells me 40 people in the room are struggling with similar stuff, and that's interesting. I think Sudipta from Birla, I think shared how they use the Google quiz, which is linked with Microsoft Teams. I think that was a very, very effective. And I found that when she shared her screen and showed us what she does, that it led to very reflective practice on her part, because she was able to look at the responses, look at the kind of way in which she got ready-made, she was able to get everything on a platter almost, because like she said, the machine has done the work for me of doing the addition and the general, the identification. But she was also able to go and look at where the machine said that the child had done it wrong. And if there was nothing wrong, if it was just a slight spelling error, or if it was just a capitalization, then she was able to go and change the score, and it actually made that entire thing change. So I think that was very useful to look at. We had just begun talking about what could be done for descriptive questions, and how there could be, maybe we could start with the very basic idea that you have keywords in the question, in the answers that are expected, being identified, and then the machine being able to pick up on whether those keywords were being used in the answers. But that's something that we had just started as a beginning to then talk about more. And maybe this is an important thing to have as a part of this discussion, so that this group of 40 can crack this issue of descriptive, answers, and how do we correct them.
It's amazing that all the 3 rooms kind of like the differentiation also ended up discussing the same thing that the main room was discussing and the other one. And I think all our concerns and issues at this time is about descriptive bit. answers. And I guess the answers lie again within us, because we will have to brainstorm, try out, and kind of reach out to each other and say, this is what's working, or this is how we can do it, which means that it brings me to a thought which says that at this juncture, we would probably need to have more collaboration amongst us. That needs to happen, because this 1 hour is not enough. We just about got to know each other, right? Like just got to know, and that also not everybody was able to share. So, okay, Joseph, you have a question at this point. Do you want to share it quickly?
Yeah,
Yes.
I want to share a point.
Yes.
I think that most of us is having a question that on how to assess the big questions or comprehensive answers.
Yes.
So definitely there is a solution that Microsoft Teams is giving a beautiful platform, that is Forms. Microsoft Forms. In that one, we can even go for a very long answer. Even children can do the diagrams. They can write the answers. They can upload it. Even mathematics, numericals can be worked out on that one. Everything is possible, like how the assessment is taken place in the school, like that way. Because we already conducted a exam across the school. Today is the last date for that examination completed. And some of us is already completed the correction even, that is. So there is a solution is there in the Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Form is the beautiful platform for this one. These all the types of the questions we can work out in that one.
Yeah,
great.
Okay, thank you.
That's an absolutely valid point. I think there may be, I don't know how many people in this room are using Microsoft Teams. And maybe that's something that if you are, then would you like to put your thumb up? Yeah, just so that we get a sense. So please use your reaction button at the bottom and show us your thumb if you're using Teams. Right. So that's about, about 10 people in the room out of 40. So if the others are using other kinds of platforms, that would be a question of what do they then access. Yeah.
So
yes,
I think
Maria has something that she would like to offer.
Yeah.
Mariamma?
No, I think they raised their hands to for the to say we're using Microsoft Teams. Yeah. So Joseph, Microsoft Forms is also very similar to Google Forms, right?
Yeah, it is similar. It is similar, but many options are better in Microsoft. It is comparing to the Google Forms. Google Forms are limited, and there is a descriptive type answers are, and uploading is not possible in Google Forms. But these all possibilities are there in Microsoft Forms.
Okay.
I think in Google Form we upload the PDFs.
Yes.
We're doing it. We're doing it. Yes.
Yeah.
So
here it is. There are many options are there. Uploading files up to 10 MB up to 1 GB files we can upload it.
That's also there in Google Forms.
Yes.
Yeah. That's available in Google Forms.
That means they're writing it separately and then uploading it.
Is possible.
So my concern is how, like, for the seniors, I'm not talking about the juniors and the primary ones. Are they, like, is it really very authentic that they're doing it on their own? Because I have been checking for past 4-5 months. I've checked so many copies and I have seen that yes, there is something that there is something fishy around, that they're not writing on their own. If I'm teaching for past 15-16 years, like we all teachers understand what is the caliber of a child and how much they can write. So I still feel that if they're uploading the stuff, then it is not very sure that the students are writing the answers on their own. This is only, that is the point of concern regarding assessment. Although I tried for normal class assessments, Socrative is another very good tool. When the students, they write, immediately the teacher can see what they're writing, and students, they can't even interact with each other. They can only see the question, what the teacher has posted, and teacher can lead the questions also. They cannot move like back, or they cannot go further until teacher wants it. So that is
repeat the tool.
Socrative.
Socrative.
Okay,
Socrative. You have Kahoot, you have quizzes.
Yeah.
So all of those can definitely be used, you know.
Quizzes is also another very good.
Yes,
Very
that's
good.
also pretty good, and it's gamified as well.
Yes, yes, that's
so yeah, Murtaza, you've raised your hand. You want to share something, Murtaza?
No, I just raised the hand for using MS Teams.
Okay.
Okay.
So going back to Vindhya's point, you know, the whole problem is because summative is so high stakes, you know, and so the whole idea is to make all your formative ongoing assessment also as strong probably, so that summative does not look like one big terror at the end of the unit. So, you know, children also probably, you know, do all these kind of other stuff which you don't want them to do because of that, and then you're also then kind of doubting the authenticity. So you know, how do we do that? So how do you make formative as strong, if not
Yeah,
strong?
and I think related to that, Jeshri, is my question is like, I think we saw Myron talk a lot about rubrics.
Yes.
Right? So I'm not sure if anybody at all is using rubrics here. So can we also raise hands for that if somebody has tried that out? That anybody in the room who's tried a rubric for the children? Okay, so Dipta has.
Yeah, that's
Dipta
okay.
has.
So we'll have to.
Murtaza has.
Yeah.
All right, brilliant. So
Yeah.
maybe just a last two comments from the two of you on the rubrics and what your experience has been, Murtaza.
I mean, we are already using the exceed methodology in the primary listing. That they already have this rubric method of assessing the students.
Okay.
And for the higher grades, we have from this year we have started making some rubrics, because in exit is not there for the higher grades.
Right.
So the teachers are quite a bit comfortable with that, but still it's very difficult to make a rubric for the higher classes rather than the primary sections.
Yeah.
So there we are having some struggle and finding some training around that also. We are in search for that, so that teachers get empowered with that skill also.
Right. Okay, that's good. Good to know that. And
Sudipta?
Yes, actually, we are using the rubrics for previously, whatever the rubrics we have made, we just share it with the students earlier only, that these are the criterion on which you will be judged. So accordingly, you need to prepare yourself. For example, that if you are submitting on time, this much marks will be awarded to you. If you are doing your work neatly, this much marks will be submitted, given to you. So like that way, not only the questions, marks on the questions, but on time submission, on doing it neat and clean manner, so that it will be easy to check. In that way also, we are giving the rubrics to them earlier to the students. As we predefined rubrics we give. So that works a little bit, so that they can, at least timely submission is coming by doing this. And this option is also available in Microsoft Team only. That is there.
So just one question. How many of us are using Google Classrooms? Anybody using Google Classrooms? Could just do a show of thumb.
Yes, we are using. We are using.
Yeah, okay. So Google Classroom also, when you have the assignment, has the rubric, which is inbuilt, and you can specify the rubric. So that is also a feature which allows you to do that pretty, nicely. So children can start getting used to rubrics if that is something that you have already, got into your system. And otherwise, you can start the conversation in the school about how to use that function to understand, what are rubrics, because just as Sudipta shared, that they start offering, you can start preparing the children to actually, prepare for the assessments or projects or any assignments in the way that you'd like them to think. So you set up success criteria and help them to actually take it forward. So Google Classrooms also does lend itself to that, yeah. Great.
So I think what we conceptualized these meetings, it's called a community of practice, because these are all of us are practitioners, and all of us maybe in different schools. Also, even if we are within a school, very often we don't get a chance to share our practice with each other. So I think that just, it started with half an hour. I think right now, how long is it, Neha? Is it
now it's 1 hour, but we've exceeded 1 hour already.
But the idea is really to gather as many people as possible who can come in and drop in for any of these sessions. And we have conceptualized them again as once in a fortnight, or?
Yes, so twice a month, yes.
Yeah, twice a month. And you are meant to come in whenever you can to these meetings to share what you're doing, listen to what other people are doing, and really kind of, we build this as a professional community that works with each other across schools, right? So we hope to see you more, coming for all of them, and bring the others who would like to be a part of this. You also are aware that Myron and Adhyayan are collaborating on creating an assessments course, which we will be announcing pretty soon, because he's ready now with his content and what he's going to deliver. So this would be again an opportunity for either all of the people in a school or some of the people in a school to join that course. It will be a paid course, but it won't be something outside of budgets. So this is something that you could look at as like what Murtaza is saying, that we're looking for some training programs, and that could happen. So let's sort of make this into something where we create needs-based training programs rather than training coming from outside, which we don't need, or maybe sort of constructed in a way we don't need. The more you say, this is what we really want to learn, the more we can sort of make sure that that really happens for you. Yeah, so this is our space. Let's claim it and use it fully. And thank you everyone for attending.
And Kavita, I'd just like to share something that, because I've got some requests on the chat personally too, which I made a mention of at the start, that what are our need-based, what is the need that schools have, told us to, kind of cater to the need that is felt in schools, and where we have looked at these Tech for Teacher courses. So these are the two ones that I was talking about. One is for class 1 to 12, and the other one is for early years. And leaders webinars is what I've already told you about, which we have one starting in the coming week itself too. So those are 4-part webinar series. Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
these are teachers who would want to know more about technology, as well as teachers who would never have not heard about technology usage the way you guys have. So if you have friends in other schools who want to use this time for their own professional development, please send this to them. Yeah, so let's spread the word and make it wider.
Yes. And this is the session for parents that we have, which is helping parents to actually now get a little tech savvy and understand how to help their children, with issues of cyber safety and cyberbullying. So that's something that I just thought I'll share since a couple of you were interested. So as Kavita says, help us reach out more people. We've already had over 300 educators who've benefited from these sessions, and that helps you integrate tech into your sessions. So Jayashree has made a Padlet for us, and I'm putting the Padlet on in the chat. So you've got the link in the chat. You can access the link, click on the link, and it's a very simple Padlet, just asking again, as Kavita said, what is the need? What do we want to discuss? Let's look at that. And so we have only 2 questions for you. Any takeaways from today's session? What are they? And what are the topics that you'd like to discuss? Which will help us to, do this on a regular basis, and also have you to come in and share, because that's what we'd like to, design this session too. So thank you very much today for encouraging us and coming, for this session. It was really nice to see 40 of us in this room today. It's very encouraging. So we'll definitely take note of the sessions, the topics that you have in mind, and organize these sessions where we can ask you to come and share your practices too. So Yes, I hope we have been able to access the Padlet, and maybe I can share my screen to see if we have all been able to do that.
So the Padlet is there. I think everybody can click on it, and those who have given us the feedback, thank you. See you in 2 weeks' time.
Great. I have also pasted Myron's session, the link that was Myron's session on assessments. So some of you haven't been able to, come in for that session, but you can definitely watch the webinar because it's on YouTube. So do watch it, and hope to see you in the next fortnight. Yeah, where we could take this discussion further. And as we are accessing Padlet, putting enough feedback, would also encourage, just feel free to unmute and share or talk if you want to do that. We are here for another 5-7 minutes till we all have completed, the feedback. So just another instruction with Padlet is you can see the plus sign below below the column of what are your takeaways. Just click on that plus sign and put in your feedback. So this is another way of getting feedback, right, from our own students too. So thank you very much. And you can officially, we close the meeting. So you can definitely leave the meeting by clicking on the leave button on the bottom right of your screen, and enjoy the rest of the weekend. And see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Thank you for the
Goodbye.
session.
Thank you, ma'am, for the session. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Sumalata, you want to know about the Flipgrid app?
Yes.
Hi, Sumalata. How are you?
I'm doing good, Neha, ma'am.
Long time. Where are you?
Yeah. I'm at home, safe and sound.
Nice. Nice to see the Ukanagaram team here. Right.
Yeah. Most of us are here. But it's almost starting 6, so time to prepare some snacks.
I agree.
Hi, Jayashree, ma'am.
Milata.
Doing
Nice.
good.
A lot of people from your school, huh, today?
Yeah.
Was father also here today?
Yeah, he was there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So
bye. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. See you.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Jayalakshmi.
Bye, madam.
Bye,
Thank
Joseph.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can you please
you.
share
Thank you.
parents' webinar link?
Yes, Surbhi, can you share your number with me?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, can you share it on the chat and I'll send it to you? I just don't have it right now with me to send it. Sure, I'll do that. Okay, I'll send it to you, Surbhi.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's only the 4 of us now.
Oh yeah. Chalo, not bad. No, it was
I thought we'll be only 10 people, right? Like
exactly.
based on the registrations. So Kavita, this is clean bold, huh? Completely clean bold. Kavita was like, it's written on your face.
Yeah, it's written on both your faces. Like, we didn't expect this. What the hell's going on? Why are you all here?
Seriously.
Yeah, she messaged me, it's written on your bloody face. I said, I know.
Looking like,
No, really.
Totally unprepared. What are you doing here? Why are you here?
No, that's true.
I couldn't believe at all.
Yeah, because this is like almost everybody who registered has come in, which has never happened in the history of these 5 months. Except the first, I would say, the first virtual webinar and virtual classrooms. This has not happened. So completely left. We thought ek chota group hoga, wo bhi, we'll just have one conversation here. And so yeah, I think this was completely a learning to not
assume,
not wing it, not wing it. Exactly. And not think that you'll, kind of, as we said, wing it, swing it, like not possible.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant. But do we have, I mean, like, since we have the registrations, can
we have
who these people are, where they're from, what is it telling us, like what kind of people need this more,
Yeah.
And I think it's great that that people have said they want more of ed tech, and so you can sort of have literally like an ed tech level 2 thing, which is specific for certain things.
Specific for assessments.
Or you can introduce one tool every COP and see what happens. That's another option.
Yeah. I think introducing one tool every COP is probably a good idea. But isn't that a competition for our own tech for teachers?
It is and it isn't, in the sense that I think that and that's really a question for us about, like, do we want to know if these people have been through our programs or not?
They haven't been.
Like, maybe they've not come for any webinar, but maybe they've come for a course. I don't know.
No.
Do we have their numbers? Can we sort of really start sending the course information to them?
So Rekha, we should send them T4T and T4 EYT.
Yes,
both.
sure.
Yeah, you have that. Yes. So I think what we should do first is not send the parental one. First send the T4T and T4 EYT. Yeah.
And what we need to figure out is, in our T4T, are we differentiating enough? Because if there are loads of people coming now who've already had Microsoft Teams as the LMS, and they've so do they have a level 2 to go to on their own?
So we don't have people, so that would be now something that we need to think about and promote it like that, because currently when people come to us, we look at what they are using. If they're using Microsoft Teams, then it's very different. So while we had one where we had both Microsoft Teams and Google Classrooms, and then we had half an hour for Microsoft Teams separately, like a separate session, because there are some very obvious differences between the two. And now we're able to manage both since we know that. So we had done it like that, but largely we're getting Google Classrooms or nothing right now. So it's at that level. Frankly, there's a market out there, because even Kavita Khaitan's teachers don't know Padlet right now, who are there in my early years. They were like, they've gone gaga over the whole thing, and we are wondering like what's happening. So I mean, there is a market, and
so get that feedback. If you give it to me, I can send it to Vedant and say, why aren't all the teachers doing this? Why are you giving only a few teachers this opportunity? So send me that feedback.
I'll send you the feedback and I'll tell you which Khaitan, because both the Khaitans are there. And I'll tell you
separately, and I'll send it to Anirudh, and I'll send it to Vedant, and I'll say, look, this is the kind of feedback we're getting from your teachers. Everyone should be in it. So
and this is all early years who are saying, they've all said poor.
Schools, Neha. Any teachers from schools coming in now, let's send that particular feedback to their principal, saying like, boss, this is the kind of thing that people are feeling. बाकी लोगों को भी डालो.
So Jayashree, well done in terms of the. You're on mute, Jayashree. No, I said kind of well done on making the slides and kind of putting that flow in the preparation. I thought that was really, you know, good. And Jayashree's got her first foothold into the community of practice. She's started looking at the leaders' data, and we have a lead.
Mail gone. Yesterday I was talking to Anna and she said just wait for the mail and then we can do the calls.
Yeah,
the leaders,
mail.
yes.
Mail has gone to the leaders?
Yes.
Okay.
Which one?
No, the one with to leaders 6.0, has that gone?
No,
I don't think that's going. She's just, because I have approved of it, she's just sent me the scribe. I'll look at that and it will go right away. Okay. Like, so
start on Monday.
So Kavita, Jayashree is going to start calling the recent leaders cohort. So Jayashree, actually we should start calling them because we actually have scheduled another leaders cohort this week itself, and we haven't obviously got any kind of registrations or anything for that at the moment.
So should I call them even before the mail goes?
Yeah, because the mail doesn't matter. It's about that you're going to anyway get that Google form, right?
Right.
Where we've asked them to fill in, and we've put in the PPT also. So we've given all of that in it. So I think you can.
While you're right about the market being out there, Neha, this is the tier 2 cities and the tier 3 cities, but they may not be willing to pay because that.
Oh, I can't hear Kavita at all. Are you able to hear Kavita? Very low, no?
Yeah, she's low. I mean, her voice is soft, but I'm able to hear. Yeah.
Is this any better?
No, it's the same.
Very strange. So I'm just
saying now it's better. Just come closer to your device.
Okay. So I'm saying that if we look at the fact that these are tier 2, tier 3 cities from where these people have largely come, because all the default schools are like Mysore and then Telangana and you know that. So they may not have the ability to pay. So we really have to think about how do we manage that. You know?
I was thinking that we don't do, I mean, the course is one thing, right? What if we just do sessions?
So like, what I'm saying is make it modular. So
yeah.
For example, you can break your tech for teachers into tech for feedback, tech for assessment, tech for whatever. Like,
creating content, curating content, we can do it like that.
Your Padlet and your
collaborative tool. So basically learn a collaborative tool and you can have Padlet and Flipgrid in it. Then learn an assessment tool. You can have Edpuzzle and you know, Google Forms. So you can do things like that. Yeah.
And then you make it sort of priced accordingly.
Yeah, then because you can have more people as well. You don't need like you don't have to have it at this price. But that's
people showing up, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. So
message saying it's over. How do you do that? Where is it?
In the chat, you're able to send in the waiting room. You select everyone in the waiting room and you can say
everyone in the waiting room. Have you already done it?
Yeah, I'm just writing.
Neha, Kavita, I need to move now.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll catch up later.
Yeah, but you begin your calls from Monday, Jayashree.
Yeah,
and yeah, let's see where it takes us. I'm sure that'll start, you know, helping us, and we can have a quick catch up also on Monday at some point.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so that we just set our systems in looking at where we are heading to. And thanks, Kavita, for
having Kavita over. I didn't know Kavita was also coming.
No, and I saw her coming in and I said, great, because I was thinking, how do we go next? You know, like what we had planned and we thought ki itne hi aane wale hai. So it was good to have you. And so I had a whole bunch in the main room and more came in the main room afterwards also. So that was useful so that I could be in the main room talking with them and about the assessments. But yes, lesson learned completely. Will not ever, absolutely. I thought that this is established norm. Nobody comes in, like it's only 1/4. So I said, you know, it'll be just 10 people, Jayashree. What will we do? Like anyways.
Anyway,
so,
chalo, bye, see you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chalo, see you. Bye. Yeah, so, ठीक है.